All right, Kemper Profiler, Tones and Talks, Season 2, Legends Tribute, and we're getting into, episode number 8 of the second season, looking into the tone details of various famous and music genre defining acts. Mr. Thomas Dill, again with us. Thank you. Hello. And here is the video of the artist of today. That's Mr. Joe Walsh, of course, known from the James Gang, but most probably much better known for his work with the Eagles and that amazing song with the amazing solo, so many times quoted, Hotel California. Thomas has all the details.
Okay, so we get right into it. And first of all, some quick facts about the recording and about the song and everything. Hotel California, the composers are Don Felder, Glenn Frey, and Don Henley. It was on the album Hotel California, you know it, and release was 1976. The studios were Criteria in Miami and Record Plant in LA. The producer is Bill Szymczyk. And that was the first album with Joe Walsh on guitar in the Eagles. And interesting thing is I found out in an interview with Joe Walsh and Bill Szymczyk, where Szymczyk said that they worked together, these amazing guitar parts. So the whole song is a masterpiece of guitar arrangement and guitar playing, guitar parts, and of course double guitar parts or triple guitar parts. And Szymczyk said they worked about 2 or 3 days in the mixing at the mixing board. Left Don Felder, right Joe Walsh, and they just played their parts, worked out their parts, and it took about 2-3 days to work everything out. And Joe Walsh said it was all improvised, and just at the point where it was right, Szymczyk put on the record button, and they had a lot of edits and a lot of punch ins and out, but it's absolutely masterpiece. And coming to the guitars, Joe Walsh had a Fender 70s Telecaster. This is how it looks like, and Joe Walsh in the 70s. And special about this guitar is it has a strut pickup at the neck position. That's all sunburst maple neck. And the amp, I said there's one Robin Trower, copy and paste stuff. Sorry for that, it's Joe Walsh.
Okay.
You can control every time, and sometimes there's some mistakes, so blame on me. And Fender Blackface Champ amp, and a Fender Tweed Deluxe he was using. And here we have Joe Walsh again. The Fender Blackface Champ was the amp where he played Funk 49, the famous recording with the Telecaster. And this Champ is a 5-watt amp with an 8-inch speaker. So you don't need big amps to make a great big guitar sound. And this Champ is also available as a Vibro Champ. I think he used the Vibro Champ, but just without the vibrato channel or vibrato effect on it. The other one is Tweed Deluxe. This is a 15-watt amp with 12-inch speaker, and it has controls for volume, and tone. So really not much, all the basic stuff. Here's the the panel. And nowadays he's using a Dr. C Z Master amp. It's a 30 watt amp with 3 10-inch speakers. And it was recreated by his favorite stage amp, the Fender 59 Tweed Bandmaster amp. And this one has controls for volume 1, volume 2, and treble, bass, and presence control. So a bit more than the original Fender Champ Tweed or Deluxe Reverb amps. Coming to the effects, we have MXR phase 90 and maybe a delay from the outboard studio rack, and the phase 90, a phaser really famous for his easy setting, just one knob for speed. David Gilmour is using phase 90, and of course Eddie Van Halen is really great user for this tone, his brown sound, and using the phase 90 and phase 100. So here we are. Nowadays, Joe Walsh pedal board with a lot of Boss pedals and a rack mount tuner and rack mount wireless system. And yeah, that's about it for this tone and for the original ingredients of this sound. Now, what to do to recreate this tone? It's really easy. Taking a Telecaster and then a Fender type of amp and adding some little bit of phasing and some little bit maybe of overdrive. That was my thing where I wanted to go to. And now let's take a look at the rig manager. So here we are. You see the signal chain is not overloaded, one empty unit and just one noise gate slightly set at a threshold 3.1. And this is the sound. Yeah,
it is indeed.
Very important is the phaser. So, but I will start from scratch. So turning everything off except the amp, and we have, what do we have? We have a Fender Deluxe Reverb. So that was the one which suited the best for this sound, and with a little bit of higher gain setting. So this is the Joe Walsh James Gang tone, if you like to have that. And I took a little bit of reverb, decay time 2.2 seconds, but the mix level really down.
Mm-hmm.
To get big studio room reverb sound. And a little bit of studio EQ, but just, you see here, the mid gain is turned down a little bit, then low cut and high cut for matching to the speaker's frequency range. And I put the high cut a little bit higher. Normally I set it to 7K. Here for these Fender sparkling tones, I've set it to 8K. Okay, another thing what I like to mention is in the amp, I put the EQ position to pre to get this slightly overdriven tone in the higher frequency range. And as I said in the last episode with Richie Sambora, I have a newer version of the rig manager, and you can choose here the amp model. to match the EQ to the amp that you're using, to the rig that you're using. And this is a really great feature. And now I will take here the Fender Deluxe, because I have the Fender Deluxe reverb. And as you can see, the gain goes up. So this is the gain setting where the amp gain will stand on an original Fender amp. And as you can see here, there's no middle and presence control, only treble and bass as at the original. And if you like to, and the EQ position is automatically set to pre, because it's that old school type Fender amp where the tone stack was before the overdrive stack, the overdrive knob, or the
volume master. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They didn't have a master or something. It was just the volume, and you need to crank up the amp really high to get this overdriven tone. So this is a really cranked up deluxe reverb. And if you like to have more treble, then you can turn it up.
Wow, and that's typically in that frequency range that gives you that.
Yeah, that's right. Especially with the tele. Mm-hmm. Just to for comparison, with the original Kemper EQs, of course, with EQ post, you don't get that really, vintage style and vintage feel. And this is, for me, it's a great feature. And
different picture, indeed. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you can maybe check out different. You don't need to match to the original amp. Sometimes you can't, because the tone stack of maybe, I don't know, Petersburg amp or something, or Softac isn't here. But you can, try something. So in that case, Vipro Champ, this is the one that he used. Sounds a bit different and feels a bit different as the deluxe tone stack. So this is just minimal stuff, but works great, sounds great for me, and is really a step forwards for getting a great tone, especially when you need to tweak the tone and need to tweak the frequency range and the gain. And sometimes, turning the gain up, you see the generic gain is at 4.4. So this is maximum at the normal Fender amp. You can't go further. Fender amp. But here, if you like to, now you can do something what is,
Oh, do that.
Fine tuning.
This is cool.
Yeah.
So now the small Fender amp, that's the Champ, right? It goes not only to 11, it goes to 19.
Yeah, maybe.
But authentically. So you play authentic, but you still can go to 19.
Yeah, you can move it a bit further. And it's really great, interesting feature. And for me, of course, you get the original tone controls and the reaction of these tone controls. And sometimes they blend together. So if you move the bass up a little bit, the treble goes down, and vice versa. So all these reactions, and you can't hear that everything in 100%, but the play feel for me it's really much better.
Okay, wow, it's going to be pretty interesting, I guess, especially for the studio where you can meticulously then match your your tones
Yeah,
towards
for those guys who
nuances.
sometimes I've used the studio EQ to match these frequencies because I couldn't get from the old Fender Kemper from the old Kemper EQ in the amps section. I couldn't get this particular frequency, which is, for example, in the at the Marshall mid-range is a little bit, in some Marshall amps is a little bit higher, the mid-range, the focus frequency, as in the Kemper generic tone stack. So if I wanted to boost the mids a little bit, I needed to go to the studio EQ. Now maybe I don't need that really much anymore. But by the way, if you using those rigs and don't want to take the special step to the amp models and the liquid profiling stuff, you just take these where they are because they are matched to this tone and work in Kemper generic when you don't move those parameters. Okay. Going back, we have the reverb, we have the EQ, and here's the pure booster is just prepared and prepared for this James Gang sound. It's just a bit boost, volume 1.1. I will show you the other stuff without. It's a bit more growling sound. And just, yeah, smart boost and to drive the input gain stage of the amp a little bit more. But this is, like I said, just prepared and not needed for the Hotel California sound from Joe Walsh. For the Hotel California sound, especially the lead tones, I took the Kemper drive with the drive setting at 5, tone at 5, definition at 3.4, and slim down at 2. So this is a little bit more, yeah, gain and a warmer tone. Without. But always dynamic. So it's great to have this smooth drive settings in there. Then 2-tap delay just for a little bit of lead delay set to a quarter note and an 8 note. Not much feedback, and the mix level is also not high, 25%. A bit of ducking plus 0.9 and a high cut set at 6K, so to get a something like an analog delay sound. Just to have these lead, tone, sustain, bigger, huge sound, something like that. And now the key to the tone is the phaser. And I took a one-way phaser. This is, you get it in phaser. You can get the normal phaser. You can get the phaser vibe, which is really great for Mr. Trower's sound, and you get the one-way phaser. This is something, yeah, it's a bit smoother phasing, not too much. And yeah. Again, and now it has this slightly something wah sounding. So this is, yeah, the setting is rate 2.7, depth really high amount, but the mix only at 63% and a 4 stages phaser.
And I still hear, when I hear that sound, I can see in front of my eye the color and the pattern on the wallpapers at that time.
Yeah, it's those 70s.
On my room, because that's where all these sounds happened and that shaped the entire atmosphere. It's amazing. You really nailed that.
You can use maybe without the delay. For those funky stuff, it's I think it was that one. Car Wash was that. That's with those phasing sounds, and yeah, it's great for these 70s funky stuff, and also the lead stuff, the one-way phaser. So normally the guy, everybody, okay, phaser, I take the normal phaser, and this is very intense. So you need to turn the mix down, and the phaser one way, of course, for this sound. For the Gilmore Shine on Your Crazy Diamond, I think I took the one-way phaser 2 on that, because it's getting really close to an old phase 90 tone. So this is my advice to get these vintage tones, one-way phaser.
Cool. Yeah, and there are 2 questions. I was just wondering, 1976, so delay, what kind of delay unit they might have used? There wasn't that much going on there. It was like analog bucket brigade delays, most probably. And then for the boost, what might he have used for boosting, if he boosted or just cranked up the amp?
Treble booster, maybe. Or what the guys used really often, but I don't think that Joe Walsh did that. The Binson Echo Rack.
Oh yeah, the tape echoes. There were, of course, the tape echoes. Sure.
Echoplex. The Echo was the Maestro Echoplex, because it has a great boost function too.
Yeah.
But I don't know what they. I think they used the Echo from Studio Outboard. Some stuff what they had. They didn't have pedals or something. I think he plugged into the Champ amp and went on.
Yeah, amazing. Still, I mean, after all these years, decades, still a staple. And so important, and still a great song, even if it's overplayed, of course, but it's still an amazing song.
Yeah, listen to the original and listen with headphones to all this guitar arrangement, all this little fills. Everything is perfect on place and played great. And yeah, the solo is legend.
Yeah, indeed. Awesome. Again, try this at home, people. And thanks again, Thomas, for looking into this and putting all these little details together and getting the essence of these tones over to you guys to help also create your tone and find your voice out there. Right. So that's it for today, I would say. Or do you have anything to add, Thomas?
Nothing more to add.
Okay, then I say thanks a lot and bye-bye. See you next time.
Bye.